Hi, my name is James. I'm a senior application scientist here at LI-COR, working in tech support. So today I'm going to talk about the latest win-GHG software version 8.9, some of the important new features it has, and this software is used to communicate and set up the LI-COR EC system. Yeah, so this is the interface you see when you start the win-GHG 8.9 software. The first window shows you what all devices are available in the network. So if you are directly connected to a device, it will show up here. You can select it and click the connect button to start talking with the device. You can also see that the IP address of the device shows up here, and the version of the firmware in the device also is displayed here. The green LED icon lets you know that the Windows interface software you're using and the firmware which is running inside the SmartFlux or the LI-7500 is compatible with the Windows interface software. You can also see the Internet Protocol version 6 IP address here. This is a copy. This field can be copied because now you can use this. Copy this and use it to update your firmware in the device also. The port through which the device talks through is the default one is 7200. The new additional field we have here is a port for the status servers. The status server is a diagnostic server which runs inside the SmartFlux and provides additional information on the system status. This talks to the SmartFlux IP address. So if you have a 7550, this connection is going to the SmartFlux. If you have a SmartFlux 3, this connection is directly going to the SmartFlux 3 itself. If you are connecting to a SmartFlux 2 system remotely, you need to make sure that port 5050 is forwarded on your modem to the IP address of the SmartFlux 2, and you have to make sure you check this tick box when you make that remote connection. For direct connection, this is not required, and for SmartFlux 3 systems, you don't have to check this field. There is also a new feature where we can add some system connection settings in the main menu here itself. So if you have a system which you connect to regularly, you can use this plus button to add it to the menu here. And then when you try to go to connect to a system, you can bring it up from here, and then once you select that, it gets populated. The update rate is something you have to be careful when you're connecting to remote systems like a satellite, where you have to make sure you have a very low update rate so that you don't consume too much data. So let me connect to the system. Okay, so now I have connected to a 7500DS system, and you can see the different the main components of the software here. You have the data, live data being plotted here. One variable can be plotted in this window, and you can set up that using this icon right here. On the right side, you can see the different variable being streamed. If you want to change that variable which is displayed here, you can click on that variable and pick a different variable from the list. The top part, you can see the different icons which will allow you to set up the system. There is information provided on the SmartFlux system to which the software is connected, the serial number of the head, the DSI, the type of the device, the logging status, and the current status of the gas analyzer. It also shows you if you're connected to a methane analyzer or a biomet system, and the type of dynamometer you are connected with this system. This field here, the status, is a new diagnostic feature which tells you the current status in terms of any other diagnostic variables have been triggered. You will see it right here. So it's a general status indicator for the system, and OK means everything is fine right now. The top part will take you to the site setup, and you can decide how to log the different data in the system, describe your site here, enter your canopy height. This is all things which we will do when you initially set up the system. The location of the system, which you can get from the GPS on the SmartFlux. Here you can configure the type of the sonic anemometer, which port it is connected to on the SmartFlux. You can also pick what variables you want to collect from the CO2 sensor head. Here you can also decide what methane analyzer to which the system should connect and the different variables you should store. The biomet tab takes you to a place where you can go to that, select your biomet system, and you can also see what data is coming from the biomet system here. So all these settings are only enabled if logging is stopped, because we don't want to change the setting midway through logging. So to enable many of these fields, make sure that you stop the logging, then you can change all these settings. There are also other settings available, like connecting to the DSI head for a SmartFlux 3 system. What outputs you can choose through the Ethernet. You can choose what variables to output. If you are on a 7200 or a 7500 system, make sure you don't have the RS-232 output enabled at high rate. This setting will only be displayed when you have a 7550 box. This is another shortcut to the methane instrument. Similar to, again, this is another shortcut to the biomet. The SmartFlux tab gives you detailed information on the SmartFlux itself. Here you can see the serial number, the firmware version, the type of eddy pro which runs in it, and the GPS status. The eddy pro tab helps you to pick what kind of project you want to run in eddy pro, the express or an advanced version. The FluxSuite tab lets you connect to the FluxSuite with the station key, which you can generate from the FluxSuite account. Data repository lets you upload data to a remote FTP, SFTP server, or even Dropbox. 8100 tab lets you connect to an LI-7500 soil CO2 flux system. And the PhenoCam, this is where you can choose a PhenoCam and have the images recorded inside the SmartFlux. There are other settings for the time, setting the IP address, changing the chopper housing between winter and summer mode, and also you can also send commands to, if you are using a different program, to talk with this device. The more important changes which happened with this version of software is in the diagnostic tab. In the diagnostic tab, you can see the general status information of the analyzer, such as the status of the temperature control in the chopper and detector, and other components. You can also get a snapshot of how the detector is reading the outputs from the light source. This SmartFlux tab gives you a more detailed information on the diagnostic status of the system. Here we have information on the clocks because you have different clocks in the system. This tab basically tells you what is the primary time source, whether the GPS data is being received, and whether the time is consistent between the different components. For example, if you have a DSI and a SmartFlux 3, whether the time matches between those two components. And the second detailed information you have here is about the sonic data collection. The sonic data is collected digitally through the SmartFlux serial ports. Here you can see whether the connection is active, whether the sonic files are recorded properly within the SmartFlux, and the capacity for storing this data is good or not. The sonic file name consistent is basically looking at whether the file names are 30 minutes apart. So this status sometimes may give you a warning if you reboot the system, or if there's a power cycling happening at the site. So this is something, if a warning comes up here, this may not be impacting the system. The third Status here we have here is from eddy pro, how eddy pro runs inside the system, what's the last file which was processed and whether it was successfully processed and copied from within the SmartFlux into the USB, which can be in the 7550 or it can be in the SmartFlux, and how is the storage inside that USB, if that's good or not. The USB information is also provided in detail here, whether it is accessible, whether it's writable. FluxSuite information is also provided, whether FluxSuite is configured and whether the system can reach FluxSuite and data can be sent there, or whether the station key which is inside the software is a valid one. Information about the data repository, whether data repository is enabled to push the data to remote server. And another important thing here you can see is the database size which is inside the SmartFlux. This is an indication of if this database has grown larger, this could lead to instabilities in the system. So this particular status information can tell you whether this database has to be cleaned out, or you're running low of internal memory. So another additional feature we have is this advanced tab, where we can directly control the SmartFlux functions such as rebooting it remotely, erasing the onboard data. This can help you to clear out most of the errors which can happen if the internal memory is completely filled up. This will remove all the internal data inside a SmartFlux, but not anything in the USB. So your data on the USB will be present there, but whatever is internal SmartFlux is using to plot the fluxes, that information will be all cleared out so that we can free up space within the SmartFlux. There's also a button to format the USB drive. If you are having USB drive issues, this is a place where we can format your drive once you know that all the data has been backed up. Factory reset SmartFlux is something which you don't want to use unless you have a situation like that. This will clear out all the site settings, network settings, everything in the SmartFlux and put it back into a like a new device from the factory. So if you try to do this remotely, you could lose connectivity because the network settings are all reset by this particular button. There are options for charting, where you can chart variables, and this is especially useful when you are trying to calibrate a device. So the calibration menu is present within the DS tab here, where you can do your zeros and span, reset your signal strength, look at the coefficients, the factory coefficients, and also the zero and the span coefficients. And you can see a history of what calibration was done if you are using the same laptop to do calibrations on this particular device. There is also a place to load the configuration or save configuration. This is a good way to, once you have set up the system, you can save the configuration, and that will help us in case you want to redo the setup again. You can always come back and open a configuration and load that saved configuration. Another new feature which we have in the software is the download option now. The download now uses a different software called win-GHG, which is an open source software. This enables you to quickly move files in and out, and you can actually launch win-GHG from within the LI-COR downloader software. This makes the download process much more streamlined. The main window of the software shows you a diagnostic overview. So when this is basically getting information from the status server. So if you have the diagnostic tab open, the front diagnostic summary will not work, because at a time only one diagnostic call can be made. If you see a warning here, you can always go back to this main diagnostic window and look at the details and decide whether that is something which needs attention or not. So this concludes the brief overview of the win-GHG software, which can be used to communicate with the LI-COR AC station. If you have more questions, please feel free to contact us, refer to our website, or to one of our distributors in your country. Thank you.